Ears is a production of the Foxhaven Broadcasting Network. All audiovisual elements contained in our podcasts are public domain, used with permission and/or as fair use, or owned by the Foxhaven. Opinions expressed in this broadcast are in no way meant to reflect the opinions of our advertisers, sponsors, or the Foxhaven community.
Welcome to All Ears on Content Creators, the show where we give the best, not so well-known content creators a voice to share their passions. I'm your host, Cyfir, and here with me, as always, is our beloved Fox, Slava.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here, etc.
Such a good one.
Today we have a special guest with us today. His name is Digi, and he is a developer of mesh, sound, electronics, and more, which is way too much ground to cover in 30 minutes. So today we'll just be covering his mesh work in Second Life and other areas where he might be working on as well in mesh. Today we'll let's see here.
Welcome to All Ears on Content Creators. Digi?
Good to be here. Nervous. Normally keep to myself, so this is different.
All right, so Cypher, let's get to the questions.
Right. Let's see here. Let me find the questions first.
Unprepared.
They're all right on the Google Doc where you left them.
Yes. How did you come up with the concept of the Digiblocks? Was the scripting hard to implement?
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm pretty sure many people have noticed that when you work with prims and mesh, they tend to, the lane impact tends to explode if you merge the two together in any object. So we needed to come up with a way to have a low lane impact that would be mesh friendly, and the only way to do that is with mesh. But the trick with mesh is it's not as beautiful and simple as a prim works. So I had to make like a cube where each face was its own entity, and each face would then get relevant data for its position. So it'd work just like a prim, but it would be great for sim owners to build not just terrain, houses. People could build houses and other anything really with it. I would call it Prim 2.0.
It's really cool. Can you tell us about how they work?
Sure. The Digiblocks, they're interesting because each face is its own entity in a way. In SL, you can have multiple faces. Like typically when you have a cube or prim object, you would have like face 0, 1, 2, 3, yada, yada, yada. Cool thing is you can have that with mesh as well without having them as separate meshes linked together. Back when I started, I thought that was how it was. But then you came across that you can actually have multiple textures or multiple texture groups on a single mesh, which keeps the land impact right down. If you res one box, its actual land impact is only 0.5 because of that feature, which allows, with the right scripting, allows each side to work independently to texture itself.
It's really cool. So basically how it works is that it looks at all the facings, the script looks at all the facings, and it just lines everything up perfectly. So you don't have to worry about lining up the textures, basically.
Yeah. It pulls some math. There's a lot of math that goes on in it, and it's kind of a real big mess. And I would like to come out with a new one, but what it does is it gets the position of where it is in the world, and it works out how long and how wide it is and how tall it is. And depending on those variables on the scale, it tells, you know, the face on the left and the face on the right to be this size, or the face on top or bottom, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that addressed a problem that was haunting us a lot when we were putting together, especially, you know, sidewalks and such. Getting faces to match up was a pain in the ass. Same with building houses. Getting faces to match up was a pain in the ass, and it was that's a pretty big problem that Digi solved for us, which is freaking awesome. Thank you again.
Yeah, no worries. It was just the old way. What was it? You would have to hit the sync texture all the time and hope that it worked.
It wasn't even that easy. You had to do the math and, you know, do it by hand.
Good thing I didn't build Sims that way. I envy you.
Yeah, that would be very difficult. It is frustrating sometimes to work with textures because sometimes they just don't want to line up correctly.
But with them, one of the problems though is with the math that's in it. It's already it's already complex enough that it's handling 3 axes. I want to update it with another version that also accepts rotations, but it's not as easy because when you rotate a box, say you have the face, you know, how would that face align to the real world, you know, and when does that face on the left suddenly become one on the bottom? How does that decide that? And it's such a big exponential problem that as much as I want to update it to accept rotations, the math behind it is just phenomenally insane.
You probably have to divide by 0. If you want to check out Digi's blocks, you would just have to go to Foxhaven. They're pretty much everywhere. But moving along, speaking of things that are everywhere on the sim, your sci-fi lamps, they're pretty much everywhere on the sim as well. What inspired you to make those?
I don't want to be mean, but I'm gonna have to. Sorry. There was for a long time Foxhaven was being built on a sci-fi theme, and they had these really cool lamps, but they had like what 15 land impact each, and when you try and manage 2 giant sims, with land impact, you kind of have to be you have to be really cautious with your land impact to go around. And when you're trying to light a city with those land lamps, it's not really gonna work out. So obviously went with a mesh idea. Actually, I do want to come out with a new version of them to lower the land impact even more to probably 0.5. Currently they're at 0.3. I built these actually before the Digiblocks, so I didn't know about the texture issue. I didn't know about the whole facing feature that it has. So right now, all the layers are on their own object. But regardless, I lowered the land impact based on another person's design, which was supposed to be like this amazing lamp that somehow exploded like Matrix kind of thing, but it never worked. So Slava was using wasting. Oh, yeah, that's right. He came up with a new one that had like 30 land impact. It was bloody ridiculous.
The first one was like 5, and then when I complained about it, he made another one that was 15 land impact, and he named it after me.
It was so bad. So I looked at what Slava was doing with it and what he was using it for, and I realized all he needs is something simple, mod friendly, and low land impact. And I basically come up with a simplified version of what the lamp was. But I figured why not go more, and I created the hexagon, the cube shape, the cylinder, and that just multiple shapes you can have in a variance. And I sat down for a while and came up with some cool colors, and yeah, I get a low lamp impact, sci-fi friendly I'm sorry, low lamp impact friendly, sci-fi styled lamp post.
Oh, they're sci-fi friendly too.
And they look really cool. And you can reshape them too to fit like in the walls of Digicore. I noticed that you put them up along the walls and make them look like beams, and it looks really cool.
Yeah, I left them full permissions except for the script inside. But yeah, the full, you can pull them apart as you want. You can even change them after, like you can click on them, brings up a menu. You can change the lighting value on it, the color, how intense the light is, just on the fly. You don't need to worry about right clicking on the right face and then properties and editing all that. It's from the ground up, just friendly, easy to use, and it just does the job right.
Really cool. Let's see here. I should mention that you do have a marketplace. Well, you have a store on the marketplace, on the Second Life marketplace. If you search Digimbyte with a BYTE, you should be able to find that. And his lamps are for sale there.
Yeah. I really should put more love into my store. I mean, I apparently do a lot of great stuff, but yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm for Foxhaven though, so you can come there and see all that stuff. Maybe I'm lazy.
Well, you do a lot of great work. Moving along, can you tell us about any vehicles that you're currently working on? I know you had something you was working on. It's currently on display in Foxhaven. If you go to the welcome area,
That's a squad car interceptor. In the middle of Foxhaven, in the showroom, there's a prototype car I've been working on, and it's inspired by the new Batman versus Superman movie. I was actually started modeling it before the movie even came out. Apparently, it's out now, and yeah, I didn't even know it was actually from that because I received a Chinese toy gift of it, and I was like, "Hey, cool! It's like the Batmobile, but different." So I was like, just making my own version of myself. Then I found the trailer for it in Batman vs Superman. I was like, crud. But I got made it my own, and it's inspired by it. I was originally going to script it with there's apparently a pro vehicle scripting pack out there. I paid like 6,000 linden for it, and I gotta be honest, it's kind of rubbish. It's great for it's a lot of scripts for a cheap solution. If you want to build a car that just works and does works the way you want, you're gonna have to build it yourself. Like the ones out there, I think the default is for like a bike, and you have to tweak with it. And even if you tweak with it, you can accidentally lose all your settings by resetting it. Like if you accidentally like reset one part or anything, all the settings that you made are gone. There's no way to fix it.
oh, well, yeah, there's not a lot of well, well, there is a lot of great stuff on the marketplace, but if you get lucky, but sometimes, yeah, you run into crappy stuff on the marketplace. It's crappy scripts.
Everyone likes it because it's such a diverse kit that yes, you can fill out any vehicle from a bike to a truck, but it's always the same. You're gonna I've sat down for hours with that plugin kit thing, and I still can't make it sound different than a bloody bike and drive really fast. I tried making a slow combat truck with it. It was just the worst. So I made my own. I made my own little kit, and the idea is that if I'm going to be selling it later, you just put the script in the car, put in front turning wheel, left and right, back turning wheel, and an exhaust thing, and that's it. You just edit the settings inside the script itself, and boom, you're done. You don't need to sit down
cool.
with a mechanic thing. It's just user friendly. I believe that anything I make needs to be user friendly and to the point. If you can't do that, then you're spending time. And then it just, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on about that.
That's okay.
I've always noticed watching you work that you seem to be able to go from concept to finished and even textured mesh very quickly. Is there a method to your madness, a secret to your workflow, or is it just some kind of personal work quirk that you can't really explain?
That's a tough one. Probably a bit of both. I guess when you get a concept in your head, you got to stick true to the concept. A lot of people have this concept and then realize that, oh, I can't do this, and they just settle for anything less. But if you keep to the idea of your concept and you stick to some creation goals, like keep it simple, keep it to the point, and deliver what is most effective to the client and or the customer, and you'll create a good piece of working art or functional device. And from that, I can flow easily from creating concept to finished product within a week turnaround, or less.
Awesome. As far as Up Till Donnie's, you did create an amazing building. We club in it every weekend or every day that it's open, at least. Can you tell us about the process of making the club and any inspirations you had as far as the club is concerned?
That's a big one. Yeah, I've heard tales of people loving it so much they sleep in it. But we had the previous club. We've always had a club in the sim, and we've come a long way from the shack with the bar stools, and we wanted to match the sim and its sci-fi theme. So I looked around at some other clubs around, and they all followed this classic warehouse that's been done up with neon lights and all that. Which is good and all, but I wanted to create a building that felt like it was built from the ground up to be a club. So I designed it around the idea of like a bomb shelter, and I just went out from there. I built it out of prims to make sure I got the scale right and the feel of it, got people's opinions of it, and when I was ready, I rebuilt the entire thing out of Digiblocks. For the special pieces, I just custom built my own mesh. Threw in some scripts so it all lines up really nicely with the Digiblocks. And made some waterfalls, some artwork pieces to bring it together. I worked on the DJ booth separately. And it just all goes hand in hand really nicely. A lot of people wanted a water floor with an aquarium under it, so I had to incorporate that. And it turned out well.
Yeah, it turned out awesome. My favorite part of it's the DJ booth.
Yeah, that's my own inspiration on that. I wanted something like Tron, like something you would expect Daft Punk would use.
Well, that music means that the first half of our interview is over, and that it's time for a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back in just a moment. This is All Ears on Content Creators. Are you looking for a place to play games, learn, and socialize online? A place that is free from grudges and judgment, trolls and griefers? I'm Slava. You know me as the producer of All Ears. And in 2013, I decided to create that place. The Foxhaven is an online community which always accepts new members. We stand for understanding, tolerance, education, and compassion. Visit thefoxhaven.net to learn more about our club.
All right, we're back here on All Ears on Content Creators. We have with us Digi
Hello.
as our special guest today. Let's see here. We'll pick up with more personal questions. Do you remember your first video game and that you ever played, and what was it?
Oh, that's sick. That is really sick. um, Funny thing is, I grew up in a very console happy era. So I can't actually remember my exact first game, but I imagine it was like a Sega game. No, wait, it would have been the original Sega Master System, and it probably would have been Wonder Boy, the default game that goes on the console when you have no other cartridge in it.
Wonder Boy. Been a while since I heard that.
It was a great game. It was like a gauntlet run game.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm going to ask the next question because I have half a clue to what his answer is going to be. But what's your favorite video game? What about video game series?
Oh, you're sick. I reckon you came up with these questions because you know how opinionated I am. A single favorite is hard to pick because I like games for their own genre. I always have a love for games like Morrowind and Deus Ex. My favorite game, one that I have nostalgia for, would have to be Cave Story. There's nothing quite like that platformer game with the retro style pixels and just sort of that meme thing we joked about a while ago, the Deus Ex triangles. Yeah, you know the one. That's another thing, Deus Ex. It's always been a fun game. I wish I could have designed it. That way it would be like that little bit better. Man.
Yeah, that was the answer I thought was coming.
Yeah, yeah. I love Deus Ex, but there's some things that could improve on that series. Yeah, Morrowind, Deus Ex, Dota 2. Love Dota 2. I never liked the first one. Yeah, I don't know. I like everything in its own right.
Is there one series of games that particularly sticks out to you as something that, you know, over the entire arc was always good in your mind, something that you would always go back and play?
That's a tough one. While I do love every game in its own right, one thing I rarely do is go back to play something over and over again. I'm one of those completionists where once I've done something, I put it aside and I move on. It's not out of like habit or something that I follow. It's just I just do it. It's like seeing It's like seeing a movie or going to Disneyland several times. You know, once you've been on the roller coaster, you've been on the roller coaster. I can't think.
All right,
of
I have one related follow-up question to that.
All right.
I never asked for this. Did you?
Yeah, Deus Ex.
Okay,
go ahead, Cypher. You field the rest of them.
All right. Can you recall a specific example of mesh used in modern cinematics that, in your mind, is a benchmark for other developers to live up to?
Oh, that's a loaded question. In several forms, mesh, more specifically 3D CGI, in film has evolved in several stages. The first motion picture, actually, funny enough, I did an assignment about this back when I was doing my 3D course. The first major 3D movie was the original Toy Story, believe it or not. It was the first full-length CGI film. So that's definitely going to have a nod to it. Like, that is an accomplishment in itself. As for television, you may have remembered a TV show called Reboot. It's about living computer programs living inside a computer in a virtual world. That
flashback.
that show defined 3D CGI for generations to come. It's what's led to Dragon Booster and all those shows you see today that are CG based. If it wasn't for Reboot, no one would have invested time and money into doing that. It's much easier to get a whole bunch of school kids in the weekend, film them doing some crappy show, and spit it out for all the kids.
Awesome. So next question is, what made you decide to download your first 3D modeling software, and what was it? And a related question to that is, what was the first fully completed mesh that you developed?
My first experience with 3D was not actually on my own terms. I didn't go out and seek out downloading any 3D program. What happened was my dad is a horticulturist, and he got some software where you can build the blueprints of a yard and plan out gardens. So I installed the CD, and I actually made like diagrams of bunkers and castles, and I used to use that software to like decorate it out and make sure it was some cool environment. And that was cool as like my step into designing it. Then I moved on to another one, which was called I can't remember what it was, but all you did was put down shapes like cubes and spheres and squash and stretch them, and that was it. I built an entire sci-fi car out of just spheres, and I was maybe like 5 at the time. This is way before 3D Max ever existed. Probably Discrete when they were around with the early G-Max. But yeah, my first real finished project was a sci-fi car.
Awesome. So you were pretty young.
Oddly predictable.
Yeah, things have gone through a full circle now. I never want to see that software again. It was so bad you couldn't even save it. Like when you model stuff in that program, that was it. You had to take a screenshot, and that was it.
Oh hell!
Awesome. So I think we have about 1 or 2 more questions. We know you pride yourself on the quality of your meshes, something that not every developer or game assets team, I guess, seems to care about. Can you give us an example of a game asset that stands out in your mind as being perfect or nearly perfect?
I want to say that quality is more subjective. Yes, you can say quality is in high mesh resolution, but one of the important things about what makes quality is how you divide up the available resources and limitations. It's like having, how would I say? I gotta think of something. Like a car, all right, and you build a car body with like 1,000 prims. Oh, sorry, 1,000 polys. And then you build the tire out of 200,000 polys. It's not really evenly allocating where the polys go to detail. Like I've seen plenty of cars on SL where they have a gas pipe on an engine block that has more polys than the engine block. It's just a waste of resources. And that kind of makes me cry a little inside to see that.
Right.
As for being perfect.
All right. On a related question, what about a specific example of design that blew you away with how awful it was?
You want to know if I thought anything was so awful?
Yeah, we're curious as to has there ever been one moment more than any where you were playing a game or looking at some CGI and something just smacked you as just being terrible?
I want to say Mortal Kombat for that lizard man thing, but there was something recently that reminded me of it. It was a movie. Even when it came out, it was really bad. I can't think of something.
Blade 2? Scorpion King?
Yeah, Scorpion King didn't look too bad. He looked a bit waxy when he came out. But there was something. It was like Walking with the Dinosaurs kind of crap, you know, that people would go back in time and they live and farm the dinosaurs in a zoo kind of shit. It was something like that. It was really bad. They had like a $20 budget of CGI.
I kind of want to take a step back to another question. You dodged it a little bit. Is there any one example? Can you give us any one example of something where you were just like, oh, maybe not perfection, but something that you were in awe of how much attention was paid to it and how much care it was made with?
Honestly, that's a good question. I didn't actually get to finish it before, but I'd have to say anything Blizzard makes in their CGs. Blizzard, they have a really good CG team, not just in the CG movies, but in-game content. They find a really good balance of the current technology to bring out their artwork. Even back in Warcraft 3, when they had low resources, they created what they could using limited polys on purpose, and it not only defined their style, it was just beautiful in resource and design wise. They've always been the shining star for good CG.
Awesome. Last question here. What role, if any, does 3D modeling play in what you ultimately wish to do for a living?
I may need some time with that. I love doing 3D, but I don't want to do it as a job. Like, being paid to do it is great, but one of the disadvantages of that is someone tells you to model something. You may not be in the mood for modeling. You may not be interested in modeling it. And that's when it becomes a grueling job. And that's the last thing I want with 3D modeling.
Totally understand that.
Yeah, sometimes it really sucks to take something you love to do and turn it into a job. It
Yeah,
becomes something you end up hating to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cyfir, Digi, I think that's all the time we have for questions today. Thanks for coming on to our show, Digi.
I'm sure I'll be back.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
We've got a lot more ground to cover with you still.
Yeah, it was great having you on, and hopefully we'll get to do this again soon.
Indeed. Much fun.
Would you like to plug any websites, anything you're currently working on, any causes you want to support, social media?
Other than the Foxhaven, animal lovers and stuff. I'm actually building how put it, a headset that has a built-in amplifier and stuff like that. Hoping to commercialize it in the next coming months, so we can get it mass produce it. I'm sick of having shitty headphones. I'm sick of having headphones that have cords that break, and I'm gonna fix that.
Awesome. It's one of the things that I have trouble with for headsets. Like, my cord always breaks before anything.
Yeah, it's always typically the cord around the headset base. Like, just simply pulling and moving away can damage cord. Like, if you get a really nice expensive headset, and within a week you may have turned the wrong way, and nope, there goes the wire.
Yeah, right now, the only real option that you have as far as buying something like that you can fix comes from a certain company that I'm not going to name, but they begin with an L, and they sell parts and stuff. But even that, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, typically you have to RMA it, and they fix it for you and send it back, or just give you a new one. But that's time, and that's time you don't get to enjoy your product. Anyway, that's another talk.
All right, Cyfir, I think that's all we've got time for. You want to take us out?
Sure. Thank you, Digi, again. And this has been All Ears on Content Creators. Thank you for joining us. We do welcome comments and suggestions. Right now, we can be reached at allearsonpodcasts@gmail.com. And please let us know if there's anyone that you would like us to see interviewed or be interviewed. You can download more of our podcast or subscribe at the following places. And YouTube, and soon to be on iTunes. See you guys next time.
We should totally interview Cypher.
He can talk to himself.
This is all yours on Cyfir. Today I will be talking to myself.
All Ears is funded by advertisers and patrons, including the Foxhaven, a virtual community which promotes education, conservation, compassion, and equitable social interactions. Check them out at thefoxhaven.net. This has been All Ears on Content Creators. Stay safe, see you soon, and like I always say, there's no kill like overkill.